Hello designers, this is Rebecca with your assignment 2, 1920s book cover critique. So let's go ahead and just review the specs real fast before we get started. So using Adobe Illustrator only, you're going to create a cover for your novel incorporating elements inspired by the Constructivism, Dada, Bauhaus, or New Typography movement. The required specs are that you create this design for the front and back covers as well as the spine of the book. You're going to use two artboards at 6 by 9 inches each, and then one for the spine at 2 by 9 inches. Print profile, portrait format only. The content must include the title, author of your novel, your name as the illustrator, the publisher, and a barcode on the back. You're going to choose a color scheme from the Swatch library in Illustrator. You may use a maximum of 2 fonts only. You may only use fonts from the list supplied below. The layout must be rotated. It cannot be perfectly vertical and horizontal. You must include texture effects. The background color must extend to the bleed lines and there can't be any typos. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first up, we have Cecilia's. Cecilia did Legend of Drizzt Homeland, and this turned out really cool, Cecilia. I love the textures so much. I love this really abstract sword and the red and how it bleeds. I'm not sorry, bleeds. It wraps all the way around the book. It turned out really nice, really, really beautiful. I love it. It's so good. You got your barcode down there. You've got your little synopsis on the back. I love your publisher logo and that it says D&D. And then you have this little Wizards of the Coast. That must be like a part of the series or something, I'm thinking. But yeah, it looks so good. I love everything about it. Fantastic work. Thank you, Cecilia. All right, next up we have Violet. Violet's doing the Hunger Games. So this is a really cool design, Violet. It actually feels kind of punk rock the way that, I don't know if it's the colors or that we have these like screens of color behind the words. And then, yeah, it is very constructivism too, but it feels like a very like a modern version of constructivism, a modern version of modernism. So yeah, it looks really lovely. I love this kind of Russian font that you chose, and you drew out your characters, which wasn't necessary for the cover. The cover is really for uh, intents purposes. It's like more about the typography than it is about drawing intricate illustrations. But they turned out nice and it looks really good. You got your barcode on the back. You can, next time you submit an assignment, please don't include the bleeds and crop marks. I just want to see it from the trim line in, okay? But this looks good too, and you got Scholastic Press on the bottom. Great. Wonderful work, Violet. Thank you. Okay, next up we have Christine. Christine's book is Paper Towns. I love this design. It's so cool with this red going through it. It's just like really dramatic. I love all the shapes and your black and white palm tree there. Looks really nice. I really love how the palm tree extends outside of this frame that you created for it. It's awesome. Lovely texture in the background. It's really cool. Really nice. I'm just looking, you got all your information there. We don't need a photo credit on the cover, just so you know. That's something that can be added to like the publisher's page. But you got your little publisher's logo down there on the bottom. You got your synopsis and reviews. Very nice. Yeah, really great. So the only thing I would recommend is just giving these reviews right here a little bit of space. You have a space here between this first one, but these guys need a little bit of margin too. So I would just kind of nudge those down a bit and then watch what happens over here on this side too while you're doing that. But I like seeing your publisher logo on the back too. That's a nice touch. With the barcode, it looks fantastic. Thank you, Christine. All right, next up we have Tate. Tate did the Kite Runner. This is a cool texture in the background, and I like that you made everything out of these simple shapes. Really good. Yeah, and you kept your little quote on the top there. Let's keep looking here. Good. I see the publisher's logo. And sorry, I just got to, yep, and you got your author's last name on there. Good. So when you're writing a quote that you break up, you want to put the three ellipses before the first word of that quote as well, especially since the sentence got interrupted. Okay. And with the barcode, unfortunately, it has to be over a white box. Yeah, it's like just part of the um, publishing company's requirements usually. So make sure you put a white square or white rectangle behind that barcode. You might not see that on all packaging, but it's usually on all books. And then, yeah, so I would also have played with perspective here. You have the opportunity because you have so much space to make the people larger and the kites smaller so they seem farther away. But I do like how you have a string going across your spine there. Really nice touch. Thank you so much, Tate. Okay, next up we have Valeria, and Valeria's book is Love in the Time of Cholera. And this looks, this is a neat texture, this like real sandy texture in the background. Um, Let me come back to the cover in just a second. This is a really beautiful touch, these green leaves here, and that logo for the publisher is very lovely. So that looks good there. Okay, okay. So we have this Adobe stock number here, uh, which tells me that you didn't make this yourself. And so that was like the point of the assignment was to use your shape tools. And um, so, uh, yeah. And we also need a barcode on the back. And I would have liked to see like more text here, a synopsis or some reviews on the back. And the front, I don't know, it just feels a little unfinished and sparse. So I think I would have liked to see a little more problem solving here with these shapes that you incorporated. Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Alexis. Alexis did Throne of Glass. So I can see that you played with some halftone effects here, and there's also like a brush effect in the background. There's a nice texture in the background too. Let me just go ahead and see what's next. Okay, so we used a different font here. So now we've got three different fonts on here. Just looking one more time. And another font here. Okay, so that's a lot of fonts. I do love these shapes that you created. Really nice. Um, I think that the bow and the sword could be even larger. You know, they could really take up a lot of space because they're nicely done. And I like this lethal, loyal, legendary. It's very dramatic and cool, going being perpendicular with this synopsis here. It looks fantastic. So don't forget you need a barcode back here for the final, and your publisher logo looks good. Maybe give it a little more margin below it there. I don't recommend changing fonts from your title here to the title here. Okay. And whenever you make vertical text, you really want to use all caps vertical text because it is really hard to read vertical text that has lowercase letters in it. So you want to do all caps, and you also want to mess with your tracking and kerning because you get larger gaps between some letters than you do as other letters, and then you want to have nice big spaces between words to separate them. So that would work really nicely with this font that you have up here, making this font go vertically on your spine. So I just recommend switching those out. Okay, so using the color halftone, they didn't have color photography, so they had to do like hand coloring back then, but I think I'm okay with this the way it is. I'm good. So just fix the text there and make sure you only have two fonts on the on all three pages combined. Okay, thank you so much. All right. Next up, we have Julianne. Julianne did the book 1984. So we have some lovely texture, really cool shapes here. I'm just looking at this. Great, looks good. Cool. Okay, so don't forget we need to include your name in here as the illustrator. And I I like that you made this 1984 larger and bolder than you did on your original sketch. I love this down here. That looks really nice. Um, yeah, and I see that you mess with some opacity settings over here. That looks nice. Yeah, looks good. Okay, and this looks really good. So this is an example of where vertical type is all in all caps, and it's much more legible. Plus, you have nice big spaces between each set of words, each word or group um, of text. So that looks nice, really good. And then this looks really nice, and I like that you bolded this out right here for effect. Really cool. I'm just looking at it. Your this all looks fantastic down here. It looks legit, very like real. So really good job, Julianne. Thank you so much. All right. Next up, we have Megan. Megan did It Ends With Us. I'm just gonna scroll through and look at it all as one. Okay. And okay, great. Okay, so make sure you put illustrated by Megan on the cover, on the front cover, not on the back cover. Okay, these shapes are really neat. This has turned out really cool. I see that you played with some gradients here, and you have a nice texture in your background, and I like this over here. Looks really great. Really nice color palette, and this text worked out really nice too. Really Bauhausy. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, then on your spine, you have your title, you have your author and the title. So sometimes when we have vertical text, it's really hard to read when it's lowercase letters. It's not too bad here since it's all lowercase, but I do recommend going in and adjusting your kerning between the letters. So I would strive for a space like you have here between I and the T and N and D. That's a good amount of space. So obviously E and N are going to need to get tighter. D and S will get tighter. I'm sorry, this is a separate word. Sorry, U and S will get tighter. And then leave these nice large spaces between each word. That will really separate it more visually and make it a little easier to read. And don't forget to add your publisher's logo at the bottom here, okay? Then on the back, you have your barcode and you have this lovely design, really nice. So just take your name off the back. If you'd like, you can add a few reviews on the back or a little synopsis of the story. Okay, thank you so much, Megan. All right, next up we have Dawn. Dawn did Where the Crawdads Sing. All right, so this is a little different than what your sketch looked like, but I do like it. I love all these primary colors, look really great together. And the photo of the crawdad, I think that I would recommend making that photo even redder to really match this red up here and to make it look like you kind of hand colored it. So you can just do that by going into, um, oh, that was something we would do in Photoshop. So maybe after we learn Photoshop, you'll see how to adjust that color there. But you would just increase the saturation and adjust your hue as well to pull it to be more red. But that will look really neat. Yeah, and I like this font that you used. And this looks great down here. Good job. All right. Okay, looks good. So this could be a little smaller here, and I do recommend rotating the publisher's logo so that it's vertical. So just shrink it down the scale and flip it. But this text can um, stay this direction, okay? And this looks really beautiful. I love this speckled effect that you added. And you did type on a little swirl there, really nice. Typing on a path, looks good. Um, yeah, and you do not need a stroke on that text, okay? So, it can be hard to try to figure out a solution to make your text stand out from the background when it's over a colored background. But this, you already are creating so much contrast with having this really dark fill on your text that it's enough of a contrast from the color behind it to stand out without needing an additional stroke on top of that, okay? But lovely work, you got your barcode. Way to go, Don. Thank you so much. Great. Next up, we have Kelvin. Kelvin did Crazy Rich Asians in a Dada style. I love it. I love the crumpled background. It looks really nice. And all this money laying everywhere looks good. Great font. God, I love that Dada font. It works so well. And I love these exclamation points, especially in the blue. You know, it's a really nice little pop of color there. Looks good. This looks really good. Oh, fantastic. Good job on the spine. This looks great too. Kelvin, way to go. I love all these little hungry hands reaching out. Really good. So just watch out for little spots like this, this white here. Uh, and but other than that, you got your barcode. It looks fantastic. Little jade pieces, little trinkets. I love it. Way to go, Kelvin. Thank you. Okay, next up we have Max. Max's book is The Road. And this turned out really cool, Max. It's different than your original sketch. It's like a little more, um, I'd say detailed, you know, because your original sketch was like just, I think, one road winding 4 times or so. But this looks neat with the gray underneath it. It's really cool. And then you have like the end of the road. It looks great. Good job. Thank you for tilting everything. It looks awesome. I love that font too. This looks awesome. Very good. Lovely. Perfect. This is so cool, Max. I love it. It turned out so great. It's so dramatic too, with just this red, black, white, and gray. It's really cool, really intense. Way to go, Max. Next up, we have Cheyenne. Cheyenne did the Crone one. So this is your cover here. Great. This is your spine here. Okay. And down here. Good. Okay. So the way that this exported tells me that you don't have your artboards set up correctly. So just go ahead and check that out to see how they're supposed to be set up. And then, but other than that, the this cover looks really nice. And I see that you have yourself as the illustrator and you played with some gradients, which was not part of the assignment, but I know that, you know, you would just want to mess around and see what your options are in Illustrator. You have your texture in the background and we have a gradient here. Is this your publisher's logo? I'm wondering. I think it might be. I would swap those two because usually, well, never mind. You don't have to. They're not always on the bottom. Good. And then we have our synopsis here. That looks really nice with the type on a curve on a path. That looks good. And then your barcode at the bottom. Great. All right. Thanks so much. Next up, we have Andre. Andre's book is called Judo Boy. This is a really cool cover, Andre. I like the texture that you have, and this belt looks really nice. And then we have this up here. Okay. Then we have, this is your back cover. So I have to tell you that because we have the words Judo Boy on the back, it does look like this is supposed to be the front cover. And I don't see the author's name anywhere besides on the spine. So the author's name and your name as the illustrator, as well as the title, all needs to be on the front cover. So if you wanted to swap those two, you could. And you could put your barcode then down here and have this be your back cover. But the design for the front is really eye-catching. It would make a better front cover like you have it, you know. So you just got to figure out how a solution for adding the title, your name, and the author's name to the front. And then, you know, be sure to place your barcode on the back. And on this part, this looks really cool. You got to also include your publisher's logo at the bottom there, okay? But I do love these big red circles as the O's. So, and I like the scale of this better, all just one uniformed size of the font. It reads a little better than this up here, okay? All right, thank you so much, Andre. Next up, we have Diane. Diane did Robinson Crusoe. So this is pretty cool. Let's keep looking. So you submitted yours as 3 separate files. So I'm just going to click through here. Okay, here is your spine. Here's your back cover. Okay, great. Okay, so all right. So with this one, it looks like you experimented with some 3D font. We generally save 3D font for our 5th assignment in this class. because it's not really in the styles that we studied this for this section. But I do like all this texture in the blue. It looks really nice. You even added a little flare coming out of your fire here, and you added lots of texture down here. So that looks really nice. Um, and I'm wondering what the red represents here. But yeah, so just I would keep your title. I think maybe make your author's name even bigger or something, or put your author and your illustrator together. Okay, now this spine looks really good. We just need your author's name as well, and we need your publisher's logo. Okay, but I do like all this texture that you added. Looks lovely. And as well as here, and I see this looks pretty cool. I'm cool with that. I like the reduction of scale as it goes down through the arrow. It looks really neat. So we don't need this part on the back, okay? But the barcode looks good. Yeah, I'm cool with it. Usually the barcode, just so you guys know for future reference, it's not allowed to be any fancy font. It has to be like whatever the specific font is for that. It's like something like Arial or Helvetica. Okay, so and it's always on a white rectangle behind it, even behind the numbers too. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. You all did a really great job. I know this was a little bit out of your comfort zone, which is the point. You got to explore, all different types of things and see what we're capable of. And you guys did a wonderful job. Thank you.